So, Earth Day Sunday, I took the liberty to believe that this was the perfect opportunity and the perfect day to recycle a couple of jokes. And I'll be honest, some of my talk is a little recycled. But consider this, we're just sort of like checking in about where we're at with it, okay? So just have that in mind. But first, the jokes. Let's see how they go. Earth Day themed. I'm sure you were going to get it, but I just need to say it because I'm nervous about going into the jokes themselves. All right. Why did the leaf go to the doctor? Why? It was feeling green. What do you guys have against leaves? Jeez. What did the ground say to the earthquake? You crack me up. Oh. Why did the sun go to school? To get brighter. Roberto Hermosilla, I am seeing you grown out there, and I'm going to call you out by name. This is my favorite. It's a slow burner one, like you have to think with it, but I'm going to give you the time. Why are recycling bins so optimistic? Why? Because they're full of cans. All right, there you go. Believe me, you will be clapping and laughing by the end of the talk. So today is Earth Day Sunday, a Sunday where here at Unity on the Bay, we not only come and be a part of a community that honors Mother Earth and really tries to walk the talk when it comes to how we are being good stewards of Mother Earth, but a day where we also get to recognize how being good stewards of Mother Earth has a very spiritual teaching that it provides us, if we allow it. And so today we get to think about our connection with all of creation, with all of humanity, with all sentient beings, with all of the beautiful things that have been created for us to live into. And it's a day to be mindful about who we are, what we are, and the impact that we have. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is to just recognize that how we show up in the world has an impact. And we've seen it very clearly with the environment and Mother Earth, and we can take it in and recognize that the more that we do to support ourselves in remembering our truth and remembering our connection with God, the kind of impact that we want to have is the kind of impact that we will have. And so we've been sitting with the impact, right? And I want to let you know, so a few years ago, we made a couple of commitments to all of you and to the environment as Unity on the Bay. And we thought that it was time to actually go deeper and do more and show up in greater ways. And so I want to share with you that the leadership of Unity on the Bay came together and have made the following commitments. So we, a few years ago, started to work on no longer using styrofoam, but we realized that we allowed vendors that we had to use styrofoam, and so starting today, there will be no styrofoam used at Unity on the Bay or any of our events or activities. We continue to use biodegradable cups, plates, and utensils at all of our events and gatherings. We're working, I shouldn't say that we're working. We now are going to only purchase earth-friendly materials, including for our cleaning supplies, for the t-shirts, for the light bulbs, and even the batteries that we use for the microphones on Sundays, which we go through a lot of batteries. And so that is one of our new commitments. And the one that I know is the toughest, I believe, but also the simplest, is that starting today, we are working to no longer use single-use plastic, which also means that starting today, you will not see a single-use water plastic bottle at Unity on the Bay or any of our events. Now, what that means is you got to bring your own bottles or use the biodegradable ones that we have here on Sunday services. But it's just part of our commitment. And the other thing that we want to share with you is, so in 2020 is when we sort of had the first initial phase of this commitment. And that day, we donated to plant trees in North America. We are once again donating from today's tithes in order to plant another couple of hundred trees in North America. And in 2020, we made the pledge that for every individual that paid or enrolled in one of our classes, workshops, or events, we were going to plant a tree. And so after today, I want you to know that Unity on the Bay has given to plant over 2,500 trees in North America. So you can be proud of how we're continuing to look at how we show up. And as we talk about trees and the importance of trees, right? They are life-giving for all of the world, and they are also some of the most beautiful expressions of what it means to be grounded, right? Grounded in Mother Earth, grounded in principle, grounded in truth. And so this morning, I really ask what it is that you are grounding yourself in. Where are you putting your roots? Is it in truth, and the truth that sets us free, the truth that brings life and vitality to who we are and what we want to experience in the world? Or are we placing our roots in something that is no longer serving us? Old ways of being, old ways of defining who we are, and things that have really gone in the way of showing up, in the way of healing. One of the things that I realize is that we can choose to be grounded and to plant seeds that bring a greater sense of oneness, a greater sense of God in our lives, a greater trust in God in our lives, or whether we know it or not, we can be planting seeds of separation, of not feeling worthy, of not fully receiving all that we are here to receive and be gifted by God. Fritz of Capra, who was a spiritual leader and guide who was also very much into the environment, said, "Ecology and spirituality are fundamentally connected because deep ecological awareness ultimately is spiritual awareness." And see, one of the things that I realized is that when we are spiritually aware, we behave in ways that are supportive of life, that give life to our dreams, to our visions, and to Mother Earth. And so the more that we are spiritually aware, the more that we will show up as that in the world. Now also, the way that we show up ecologically aware, if we allow ourselves to be informed by it, it really provides us an opportunity to uncover the practices that not only bring life to Mother Earth, but the practices that bring life to us. And so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about reduce, reuse, and recycle. But before we do that, the opportunity to recognize that we can be better stewards of Mother Earth is also an opportunity for us to recognize that we can be better stewards of our own divine nature. And a few years ago, I got this book called The Green Intention, Living in Sustainable Joy. And it asks, what does it mean to green up your life? It says, what does it mean to green up your life? On the surface, you might think it means to recycle or to purchase, cook, eat organic foods and beverages, or to turn the lights out every time you leave a room, even after you have converted your light bulbs to save energy. But think for a moment about greening your life at a deeper and broader level. Are you truly thriving now? Are you creating success, or are you creating fear? What path are you on? Now think about where you want to be. What do you visualize? What do you do? How are you serving the world? How do you want to get to your vision? And so what is it that you want to green up in this moment? What is it that you want to add life to rather than take life from? For me, greening up our lives is all about faith. Right? And how to green up our faith. And I see the similarities between, at least in my experience, how I have treated Mother Earth and my relationship to Mother Earth and my relationship and how I've treated my faith. Because if you think about it, maybe it also feels like you're connected to the same way of seeing things. But we've treated Mother Earth, I believe, Like it's just there, and it'll always be there. And it has provided such bounty and such beauty to us, just like our faith has. It has given so much to us, and the questions that we are grappling with now with Mother Earth is, what are we giving to Mother Earth? And so we have received so much from our faith, and the question is, what have we given back to our faith? How have we celebrated and honored our faith by no longer just taking it for granted, but doing the work that it takes to deepen it, to grow it, to expand it, and to green it, to bring more life into it? I realized that just like I've littered Mother Earth, and we've littered Mother Earth, we have littered our own faith. Because we throw the trash in there too, right? We throw the thoughts of being unworthy into it. We throw the thoughts of being separate into it, and we are littering our own faith, which is what gives us life, which gives us the ability to be in the world. And so the opportunity is to really recognize how we have been sort of littering our lives and figure out that there's a different way of being. That as we recognize and we release and we let go and we clean up our relationship within our own selves and with our own faith, we do so with Mother Earth, we do so with humanity. And as we do that, we allow Mother Earth to do what it does, naturally healing itself. The more that we take away the things that we have littered our faith with, the more we can just be in the essence and presence of our faith and allow it to do what it is meant to do in our lives, which is create the life of our dreams, which is create more peace and harmony and joy in our lives and in the lives of those that we love and the lives of people that we may not even know, but we know that we are connected with. The more that we clean up our faith and the more that we clean up who we are in relationship to it, the more that we will move into that thriving, sustainable joy that I believe we are all wanting to experience more and more. And so part of that then is recognizing, where are we placing our faith? Are we trying to find it in the world outside of us, the world of the senses, which, believe me, I know can bring some instant gratification, can it not? You know, like there's those relationships that we know, oh, that's not the best for me, but it's going to feel really good tonight, right? Like, or, you know, like other ways. You know what? This isn't for my purpose. This isn't for my highest good, but I need the money. So I'm going to take that job that is going to bring me into hell. It's going to make me question who I am, like the skills, the things that I am worthy of not only owning, but sharing with the world. Have you been there before? And it's this world of instant gratification. And I believe that that's part of what got us into the mess that we have experienced with Mother Earth. The instant gratification of single-use plastics, it's so easy. The instant gratification of using fossil fuels, it's so cheap, it's much cheaper, right? And so things like that make me realize that it's beyond the instant gratification. What is it that can bring us sustainable joy? What can bring us sustainable peace? We're in it for the long haul. What is it that we can do to continue to evolve who we are and how we show up in the world and be able to be good stewards not only of Mother Earth, but be good stewards of God, everything that we were created with and for and in? How are we being good stewards of our strength and our power and the grace of God in our lives? And how can we then stop ourselves from being in the way, as Carmen was sharing in her meditation, of the healing and of the grace that is naturally trying to show up in our lives and in the life of humanity? Emily Cady reminds us that the sustainable joy and everything that we want to experience in our life comes from source. And it comes from recognizing that it's no longer about the instant gratification, but it is about centering ourselves and being fully aware that God is that renewable and inexhaustible source that prospers us, that blesses us, and that provides miracles in our lives. She says, there is but one source of being. This source is the living foundation of all good, be it life, love, wisdom, power, the giver of all good gifts. You have power to draw on this source of all good that you are or ever will be capable of desiring. How are we drawing on this source? Again, our primary work, I believe, is to continue to look to God as the source of our good, and to continue to look at God as the source of the wisdom and the guidance of how we are to be in the world. And I invite you to ask, where are you getting your energy from? What is it that you're using to bring life into your experiences? Is it that renewable and inexhaustible energy and spirit that is God? Or is it the fossil fuels? And I'm thinking of the fossil fuels as that which is in the past, the skeletons, right, that we've sort of lived through, but have wanted to leave behind. But for some reason, we continue to go to them, and that's what's fueling our current experience. The hurt, the pain, the damage, the challenges, right? Is that what's fueling how you are being in the world? Or are you starting, or more fully, looking to God to be what fuels every aspect of our lives? And once we are being refueled by that source, how are we using that energy, right? Because it's not just about where you get your energy is, are you being a good steward of that energy? And so think about the places where you've been drained. What drains you in your life right now? Is there a relationship that, rather than building you up, is draining you? Is there a thought or a judgment that you have about yourself or about somebody else that is draining you of the energy that you were so good about tapping into God for? And so it's an invitation to check where we're getting our energy, but also check what we're using our energy for. And in the same token that we're looking at what's draining us, it's the invitation to look at what's really asking for our energy. Because I believe that there's a dream, there is a passion, there is a way of being within each and every one of us that is asking no longer to be ignored, that is asking for us to no longer neglect it and give it all the energy that is within us to make it so, to manifest it for our good and the good of all humanity. And so what areas in your life are asking for your attention? What areas of your life are asking for your energy? And as we begin to be even better stewards of that which we have been given, I know we will be good stewards of that divine energy and the dreams that have been placed within our hearts and the dreams that are being asked to be lived into through us. Martha Smock says that as the light of the sun brings life and growth to the earth, so the light of the Spirit, the Son of God, brings life and growth to the soul. That same source of energy is the same source of energy that expresses as us and into our lives and into the areas where we direct that energy and that light. So I want to share with you some of the practices that I believe can really bring us into not only understanding our light more fully, but to live it, to be living in it and to be an expression of it more fully, where it no longer, is the light that's trying to come through the litter, but the light that is coming through this beautiful energy and beautiful way of expressing that is felt and seen and experienced without question. And so it's the reduce, reuse, and recycle. So today I'm going to invite you to think about the ways in which you can reduce, reuse, and recycle that which is within, that which can be life-affirming. And so with reducing, it's simple. What do you need to let go of? What do you want less of? Do you want less of worry? Do you want less of stress? Do you want less of challenges and difficulties? Do you want less of toxicity? And that's a question, because some of us don't realize how much we actually say we want that internally, right? Because some of us can get addicted to the way that things are, even though they don't feel good, or even though they aren't for our highest good. But ask yourself, what is it that we can reduce? And in that, how can we be more mindful of the ways in which we are using that energy? Because let me tell you, toxic people or toxic ways of being, they're energy drainers, right? Like you've experienced that where you walk into a room and, where'd my energy go, right? how are we being mindful of that and reducing our connection to that? And in that, I believe, is all an opportunity for us to also be mindful about our boundaries. So making stronger boundaries with the individuals that can drain our energy, which can also be us. So creating stronger boundaries with ourselves. What are you willing to think? What are you willing to experience? What are you willing to be? And be very clear about that so that when you are getting towards the line of stepping through and moving in the direction of the ways in which you yourself, me, myself, can be toxic in my own life, that you know that you're moving in that direction so that you can course correct. And that happens by recognizing and being very aware of our boundaries, what we are willing to make ourselves experience and be. With reusing, I like this one because it's a fun one for me, is just like, how are you reusing things that work, right? So we come on Sunday services, you come to classes and workshops. How are you using that which you hear, that which you feel when you are here? If you're like me, I have so many books that I'm reading them and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I highlight it and I asterisk it and I put a little thing on it and I never opened that book again, right? I mean, you're like, oh my God, that was meant for me. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And you never tell yourself it again. And so how can you reuse the things that are working for you? And how are you able to use that which has been given to us? You know, Henry David Thoreau says this: a single footstep will not make a path on the earth, so a single thought will not make a pathway in the mind. To make a deep and physical path, we walk again and again. To make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. How are we creating the new path? How are we creating the new way of being? How are we creating the new pathways within our own mind and our own brain to be able to do that which we say we want to do? And when it comes to reuse, now I'm thinking about, I just had this thought, it wasn't even in the 9:30. When we adopted our son, Lucas, oh my God, the bags and bags and bags of clothes that were given to us by everybody who wanted us to reuse their clothes. I mean, I think we had pants for when he turned like 12, and when he was like 5 days old. Sybil Adams actually did give me some of those. But anyways, like a lot of the times when we reuse things, it's things that have been given to us. And so think about your coaches, think about your mentors, people that you look up to, your friends, your family, and ask them what it is that they are able to use to create the life and the dreams that they are living into, and see if it's something that benefits you and that you can use. On the same token, we are the givers of something that somebody else can use. And so if there is something that is working for you, whether it's an affirmation, whether it's a visualization meditation, whether it's a daily prayer practice, whatever it may be the living testimony of it. Share that with other people. There are so many people in our lives and in humanity who are looking for a different way of being, that do recognize that there's something greater and better for them within themselves and within their lives, and are searching for the ways in which they can be more fully open to it. And so let them reuse what has worked for you. Don't be quiet about it. You enjoy coming to Sunday services? Come with a friend next time. You enjoy going to a workshop? Take your family members to it. You get an aha or you highlight it in a book. Don't just leave it in the book. Send it as a text message to your friends. Allow yourself to be the conduit by which they will also experience a different way of being. Recycling. So for me, recycling, it took me a while to figure it out. And recycling really is turning materials that would otherwise be thought of as waste into something that is positive, into something that is valuable. And so it's in finding value in that which you will give away or release. And I mentioned earlier that one of the things that we can reduce is some of our thoughts of being unworthy, old patterns. But don't just let them pass you by. Don't just like release them. Ask yourself, where did they come from? Have value, make value. It reminded me while I was sitting there of, what others meant for evil, God meant for good. Even our mistakes and even the things that are hurtful or that are painful that we have moved through and lived through, there is good to be experienced from it if we ask ourselves, where does this evolve me into? How does this inform how I want to be in the world? What it is that I need to heal within me? Like I said earlier, some of us at times are a little bit too comfortable with toxicity in our lives, right? Well, why, right? Like, don't just say, I'm going to be done with toxicity. Like, ask yourself, why do I do this? What is it that is coming alive in me? And what does it mean for where I want to go in my life? Like, don't just waste it. Use it. There's something valuable in every single experience that we move through. It's just a matter of uncovering what that is. And so these are the ways that I believe we can use the tools of reduce, reuse, recycle to recognize more of who we are, and what it is we want to do in the world. Now, we look to God to support us through that process because let me tell you, well, you probably know, recycling is hard. You have no idea how many people come to my house that I have to tell them, plastic, you can't put recycled goods inside the Publix recycle bag and throw that in the recycling bin, right? We've all been there, right? So it's a practice. Where do we get our energy? Where do we get our stamina to move through these practices? In God. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 says, those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. The moment that you think that living this kind of life and moving into your dreams and your aspirations, or the time that you think that maybe I don't have the energy to pursue the dream that is alive in me, go to God. Go to that inexhaustible source of energy that not only gives us energy to live our dreams, but provided the dreams in the first place. I believe that we have the ability to plant ourselves in truth. I believe that we have the ability to plant humanity in the truth that bears the fruits of peace, love, joy, all the things that we say we want to experience, and that the pattern of that is already within us. The pattern of that is already in our lives, and the pattern of that is not only in humanity, but it is in Mother Earth. It is a self-healing process when we allow it to be. And so this morning, I just invite us to green up our lives, to green up our faith, to be in the process of creating a world that works for all. And as you're about to hear, to always, always, always remember that heaven is a place on earth, and we get to make it so. Namaste. Thank you so much for visiting our YouTube channel. We post new videos every week to keep you positive, present, and inspired to your divinity. Please click on the subscribe button below and also that notification bell. Remember to share this with your friends and your family, those that you know will be inspired just like you have been. And always remember that we love you, that we bless you, that we behold the Christ in you, and we see you doing great things. Thanks and take care.